Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I know, it has been a while since I have uploaded a video. I kind of took the entire month of July off. After the last week of school, I was trying to give myself a couple weeks to just completely R&R, and that couple weeks turned into like a whole month. But I'm back and I'm super excited to be filming again. It's been a while, so definitely excuse me, your girl's a little rusty dusty. Those of you that have been commenting or sending me messages asking me where I was, I really appreciate it. Yeah, just been enjoying summer break. We're into August. I've only got a couple weeks left. Excuse the giant air conditioner in the background. The Pacific Northwest has had quite a summer this year. There was like 3 or 4 days where it was like 100 degrees plus. Yeah, I had to get an air conditioner. It was too much. For today's video, I'm going to be filming the mid-year book freakout tag. I still need to film a June wrap up and get that up onto my channel. I actually don't need to film a July wrap up because I literally read 0 books in July, which is very unusual for me, but I spent a lot of time literally watching a bunch of reality TV shows on Netflix, and I have since canceled my Netflix subscription and it's back to reading. I've already finished 1 book for the month of August. I'm super excited to be getting back into that for sure. All right, enough with this long intro. Let's get into the questions for the mid-year freakout tag. So the first question, of course, is what is the best book of 2021 so far? This is a really hard question, and I narrowed it down to 3 books. And those 3 books are Project Hail Mary, Recursion by Blake Crouch, and The Passengers by John Mars. Now, the irony is that all 3 of these books are sci-fi, and all 3 of these books are literally the only sci-fi that I've read this year because I'm not a huge sci-fi reader, and yet all 3 of them are contenders for the top 3 spots of the year. These are all fantastic 5-star reads. All 3 of these books, when I finished them, they gave me book hangovers. It took me a while to get over those books, and I'm still not even over some of them. They were just that good. If I have to choose, I think I'm going to give it to Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, simply because I just loved the friendship story in that book so much. The friendship between those 2 main characters was just so good, and I was so invested, like literally to the very end and even beyond. I'm like so invested in their friendship. The science, I think, was really fun to read. There was a lot of humor involved, and I think the pacing of this book was really strong, particularly since there aren't a whole lot of characters. There was just, the suspense really comes from a whole bunch of problems popping up and how are they going to solve it. And it kept me hooked the entire way. And it's not a short book, but it felt so fast. It was a spectacular book. If you have not picked up Project Hail Mary yet, I cannot recommend it enough. I really hope you do. And I haven't read The Martian, but I do have, it's part of the Audible Plus catalog, I think until September. So I was able to get the audiobook for free. And I'm hoping to get that read before September. All right, next question is the best sequel. And I haven't read too many sequels yet this year. I think I'm gonna give it to the 2 series that I've just been following a lot over the past couple years. The first one, I'll say Drown Her Sorrows by Melinda Lay. This is book 4 in the Bree Taggart series. And this is one of those Kindle Unlimited mystery thriller books. I really enjoyed this one. I think this was a really excellent addition to the series. Mostly because I would say the biggest strength in this book is the twist that came at the end of the book was very unexpected. I just totally did not see it coming, and it was very well done. So if you're looking for a good mystery thriller with a twist, I would say this is it. I'm also going to add An Evil Mind by Chris Carter to this, and this is part of the Robert Hunter series. This is book number 6. I will say I haven't read books 1 through 5 before this, but I had read one other book in this series before picking this up. And I will say that overall, again, mystery thriller, super, super gruesome. I mean, like, you have to be down for some very descriptive and very disturbing crimes that occur in these books. But if you are, the suspense is there, the gore is there, the thrill, the mystery, it's all there. I have really enjoyed this series except for book 1, and I talked about that before. Book 1 is not that good. And these ones you can read out of order as well. The third question is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to. There are a couple books on this list. Again, because I read like nothing in July, there are a bunch of new releases that I was hoping to get to that I just haven't yet. The first one, Billy Summers. That book was actually released today. It's August 3rd, and it was just released today. The audiobook I had pre-ordered and it's been delivered to my Audible library. The ebook, same thing. So I'm hoping to get started on that actually probably today. Also, The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. This is book number 3 in the Kiss Quotient series. I actually picked it as my August book of the month, so I'm waiting for that to arrive in the next couple of days, and so I'll be able to go ahead and read that. I don't know if it has officially been released yet because I keep checking Audible and it says August 31st as the release date. So we'll see about that one. And then The Secret Keeper of Jaipur, The Henna Artist, was one of my top books of last year, and this is the sequel to that, and I need to read it. It was just released sometime in July, and I will definitely be reading that this month in August. The next question is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and this year I don't really have a release that I'm really anticipating for the second half of the year. So far, the only book on my list that is coming out this month that has yet to come out is The Heart Principle. But if you guys are aware of any upcoming brand new releases that you think I would really like, definitely let me know in the comment section. I don't keep up with new releases as much as I should. They kind of just surprise me, which I kind of like, but definitely any recommendations that you guys have, let me know in the comment section. The next question is the biggest disappointment of the year. This has to go to The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. I did, my actually last video was a reading vlog where I read The Maidens, and at the end I kind of talked about it. And as I was talking about it, I was realizing that I really just didn't love it. I read the whole book and I read it pretty quickly, but it was kind of a letdown. I would say I didn't love the main character, and I feel like it just worked too hard to bring a twist into the story, and the twist wasn't that good because he worked so hard at it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it was just too much diversion, and the twist kind of comes out of left field, but doesn't even feel like it was really incorporated into the story. I mean, I kind of feel for him. I feel like it would have been really hard to follow up on The Silent Patient, which just kind of received so many rave reviews, and it was so good. It's hard to follow up on that. Next question is biggest surprise, and surprise, I couldn't pick just one for this. I think I'm gonna narrow it down to two, even though my original list has 4 books on here. I'm gonna say The Bad Muslim Discount, and the reason I say that this is a surprise is because I personally did not know what I was gonna get going into that story. And the book starts off so lighthearted and it's so comedic and funny, and yet it kind of takes a turn into a much darker story. And overall, the story of the characters in this book, it is just really deep. And at times really dark, and there's a lot of struggle in this book and a lot of dilemmas, particularly morally, that they have to face and that you as the reader also kind of have to question yourself about as well. This was a really great book, and I would recommend this one for sure. And then I'll say Anxious People by Frederick Bachman as well. Again, this is another one that I just randomly picked up, and I just started listening to the audiobook and I was hooked in. And when I finished the book, I think I gave it 5 stars, and I just knew that it was probably going to be one of my top reads of the year, and it still is on that list overall as kind of some of my top reads of the year. I think for this one, what was surprising was that I wasn't expecting the underlying kind of message that was being told through the events of like a bank robbery. And I think very similarly to The Bad Muslim Discount, there is a lot of humor in this book, but it goes deeper than that as well, and that little bit kind of gets you. And that brings us to the next question, which is my favorite new author, and I think I'm going to give this to Frederick Bachman. Because of Anxious People and how much I loved Anxious People, I'm definitely planning to pick up more of his work. I have not done so yet this year, but if I don't get to it by the end of this year, it is on my radar, and I'm hoping to get to at least another one of his works within the next year. Next question is my newest favorite character, and this has to go to Rocky from Project Hail Mary. If you read that book, then you probably will understand why he's such an awesome character. He was really funny, and even though we cannot exist in the same atmosphere, he has proven himself to be a very loyal friend. And so for that reason, he is my newest favorite character. And let's do 2 more. So books that made me cry. I actually don't think there are very many books that made me cry this year. The 2 that I could think of that I wrote down, The Bad Muslim Discount, because again, that one kind of sneaks in at you. It starts off really funny, but it does turn very serious. And then the second one, I'll say The Yellow Wife. And The Yellow Wife is a historical fiction, but it is set during the slavery era. And there is a storyline in the book that involves like a mom and her son, and just a lot of mistreatment that occurs in that book that can be really difficult to read at times because it is so graphic and violent. So I would say that The Yellow Wife may have, I don't remember if it did, but it probably got me close. And then the last question that I'm gonna do is books that made you happy. When I was trying to figure out the answer to this question, I realized I don't read very many happy books. And it kind of makes sense because my most read genres are mystery, thriller, and romance. I don't find the romance books to be particularly happy-go-lucky, but I will say that the one book that I picked for this was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. And this book I chose because this book was just so funny. I listened to the audiobook and I remember there were several points in the story that I was literally laughing out loud. And I don't think any other book did that for me this year. So The Unhoneymooners, I'll give it to that as the book that made me happy. And that's it. Those are all the questions that I actually had answers to. Over the course of my little break there, I also noticed that I hit 3,000 subscribers, which is really awesome. So thank you guys so much for that. And also thank you for sticking with me through this break. I will definitely be uploading much more regularly over the next couple of months as I'm kind of easing back into my routine. I hope you guys are having a fantastic summer as well, or winter, depending, I guess, on what hemisphere you live in. As you're reflecting on your reading, let me know what has been your top book of 2021. That's a hard question to answer, but I would be very interested to know. In the meantime, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.